What's up, guys? Today we received the highly anticipated APEX e-bike from QuietKat. This one is going to be the APEX XD. Some of you may be wondering, when I order one of these e-bikes, how is it going to come? What is it going to look like? How do we put it together? And now we'll be able to find out. So this model here that I'm going to show you is the one of 16 final production prototypes. So there's a few minor details that you'll see in this bicycle that won't show up on the final product, but for the overall picture of this is what you guys are going to get. So let's jump into it. What are in the two boxes and how did they ship it? So these two boxes came, and when we open it up, it's packaged pretty neatly. I just kind of, for the sake of time having you guys watch me cut boxes open, I took a sneak peek in here. And then, so this has our bike, and this has our front tire assembly. And when I was getting ready to receive this, I was wondering, how much stuff am I going to need to do, or how much is the average person going to need to do to basically put together one of these bikes if you're not a bike mechanic and you don't know any of this stuff? How is this going to show up? So I was pleasantly surprised to see that it's in the final stages. It's almost done for you. So this box here has our battery pack, which we'll come back to here in a minute. So this is the large battery pack that we see here. 14.4 amp hour battery. Let's go back into the bike. Most of the bike is already done. This is just some packaging. We got the seat here. This is one of the differences in the final production model. The final production model actually is going to have suspension built into the seat. This is a hardtail style bike, which means it has no rear suspension. It does have front suspension. The final product will have suspension on the seat, but the frame will still be hard. And the reason why they're going to do that is they have set up some really cool designs here to where the new frame is going to have all of your attachments are going to lock onto this mechanism here. And you can see this has our basket, right? But let's say you're into deer hunting. Cool, not a problem. They'll have a deer hunting rack specifically for that. You're into bow hunting, right? Awesome. You're into fishing, whatever it is, camping. They're going to have specific racks that are going to lock on to your frame so you can carry the weight. They're not doing a full suspension. And then they have this hard rack system that you can attach to, which I'll show you a little bit more when we pull this out. But because of that, for off-road riding and adverse terrains, they're going to put that suspension actually in the seat post. So this is what I was referring to. Most of it's already done. Our back tire is already mounted. Our chain is already mounted. The back wheel and the hub assemblies are already set in place. Our crank set is already in. So maybe what we got to do is we got to put on that front tire. We're going to attach our handlebars. We got a quick release for the seat post, drop that in, and maybe we put the pedals on. This might actually be pretty simple in comparison to what I thought I was getting myself into when I received this box. So let's see if we can pull this thing out. It might be a little bit beefy, but with the battery pack out, maybe it won't be too bad.
Oh, wow.
Right. Come here, you.
You need a hand.
No, men never ask for help. Don't you know that? Haven't you driven with us before? All right, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna cut some of this stuff away.
Oh, cool.
All right, so now that we have all the packaging off for the most part, I left it on at the end of the fork, but now that this is all off, you can kind of see what we're working with a little bit better. And the nice thing is, again, going into, if you're new to bikes and you're not necessarily a cycling mechanic, how much work do you need to do? And it looks as if they already have the majority of the work done here. So all of our cables already run through the frame, our brake lines are set up, our throttle cable's set up, the computer's set up, and it's already run through all the frame and everything like that. So all we simply have to do is throw the accessories onto it, and essentially we're gonna put the handlebars into the stem here, and then we just got to true it with the fork and get those lined up, tighten those down. We have the pedals in the other box. We'll throw the pedals on. We'll throw that front tire on, get that thing set up. This basket that I showed you, or the rack, that will bolt right here. It's just 4 screws that comes right onto the front. And then this is the setup that I was telling you about before, that you can attach all of your hunting supplies, camping supplies. Those other systems will mount right to this. And then here in the down tube, right, you have the compartment where the battery will go. And there was 2 other boxes that came in the larger box. One being here, your e-bike charger, right? 54.6 volts, 3 amps. So right here we can do your charging. And then this one is just our toolbox and our startup guide. So we have your little startup guide here. And then we have our pedals, right? We have our tools. Very simple. There's very minimal tools, as you can see, for the install or for the rest of the assembly. And it is relatively simple. They've made this as simple as they possibly could, coming from a dude who used to ride a lot of bikes and all that kind of stuff. I thought this project was gonna be way bigger, so that was very nice of them to kind of get the main stuff, so you don't have to take this to a bike shop to get it assembled, which is great. Cool. So cool that they give you tools. All right, so what I'm doing here is I'm going to come backwards just till I feel the threads click, and then I'll go back in just so we make sure we don't cross thread when we're getting this thing in place. And I'm just going to do this just finger tight right now so we can get this all dialed in a little bit, but just so it's not hanging. And then I'll probably wind up adjusting that in a little bit. I'm going to give this a little bit of a squeeze here so that we can go ahead and move to putting that front tire on. I don't need to be totally tight right now, but just so it's not loose. Dude, look at this thing. This is a beast. There we go. All right. Dude, that is a beefy tire. Holy crap. All right, let's get this thing lined up. All right, so we removed the axle, and then you have this little piece here, which is basically inside that brake caliper. So we're going to pull that out. So that way this disc brake that we have here can slide into the groove for the brake. So in this case, what I'm going to do is I'm going to have this on standby, the axle bolt. I'm going to come in from the top, let that brake drop into the brake caliper. Once that's lined up, I'm going to run that axle bolt through the inside here of the, through the hub, through the fork. See if you can hold that steady.
Steady as it gonna be.
There it is. Boom. All right, now I'm gonna bring this back in. Get this finger tight, because we have a couple bolts here on the end of the fork, which we're gonna lock this down here in a minute once we get this thing in place. So, boom, there it is. All right, so let me tighten this axle down. Get good contact there. Good. Get these tightened so you can see what I'm talking about. So we ran this bolt through, lined it up into the groove of the brake caliper, and now once we have the axle bolt in, now we can drive these down and get these in place to hold everything true. All right, so now that we have the front tire on, these are mounted, but again, the handlebars are mounted, but I'm gonna come back and straighten this out, get the stem and the headset and everything locked into place in a minute. So next thing we can do, I put a little air in the back tire just so it would stand a little bit firmer. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the pedals in. They're indicated which one is left and which one is right. So L for left, pretty simple. So we just started. Once you get it started, let me bring this back up to here. We'll get this going. All right, so there we are, that's set. Let's do the right one. Cool. If you hold the wrench and you backpedal, if you have room, you can just let it tighten itself down. It's a little bike shop trick. All right, there we are. All right, so the quick release for the seat, we can adjust here, make it a little bit tighter. When we clamp this down, we want it to give us a little bit of resistance when we're coming in. If it's too easy to clamp, then when you hit a big bump or something like that, you're gonna basically, your seat's gonna drop. So we want this to be straight. And then again, because this is going to be a mountain bike, right, that we can actually pedal, and in addition to being just an e-bike, one of the things when we set up, again, I haven't set this yet, but when I set up my position for my foot, my seat wants to be in a position to basically, with my foot flat toward the ground, there's a slight bend in my knee. I don't want to be reaching and locking my legs out. I don't want to also have the seat so low that I'm pedaling like this and my leg is only getting to this point. So although this seat may seem high, that's what we're trying to get to, is that magic spot on the downstroke. My leg should literally be just slightly bent. Again, not locked out where I'm reaching, and not like this to where I'm pushing in this compressed position. So once we get our height right, we're good. We can come back to here, and now let's focus back in on this fork handlebars and headset here in the stem. All right, so if you're not very familiar with bicycles, if I can do this, see how there's shake here, right? So if I can do that, that's the downstroke of this fork, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to loosen up the stem here, and when I loosen up the stem here, the handlebars will slide back and forth. But what this will also do is this will allow me to tighten up this one, right? See how loose that is? So this screw here is what tightens the fork up into the headset. It's pulling the fork up. So if I have shake in this area, I'm going to tighten it here. I don't want to go so tight that I can't turn the fork, that it's like giving me lots of pushback on being able to turn. There we go. So that's nice. But at the same time, I shouldn't be getting any front to back shake. Once that's in place, now I'm going to line up my tire so it's straight. I'm going to look down, make sure my fork is straight. And then I'm going to take the stem and I'm going to turn the stem to make sure that my handlebars are straight lined up with the fork. Okay, once I feel like that's straight, then I'm going to come back into the side here and I'm going to tighten up these screws on the side of the stem, which is going to control, again, my handlebars from shifting left or right. So I'll come in here, get that nice and snug. But I have to loosen these up first to do that. Otherwise, I'm going to be tightening this down and I might strip it. And you don't want to strip the internals of that. So make sure that the sides are loose before we do the top. All right, now that we have these lined up and everything like that, because these are predetermined with all your levers and everything here, we can figure out how do I want these handlebars positioned. So maybe I want them right here. Okay, once those are positioned good, I have these stripes which I can figure out which is center. So right now it's not center, so I'm going to bring the handlebars back to center, lined up left and right. Cool. So from there, I'm not going to worry about this screen just yet. I'll move that here in a minute. So I'm going to get my Allen wrench. I'm going to come in, I'm going to tighten these down a little bit. And you can do like a cross pattern, so that way you're not tightening up the one side too much. I'm just going to get these back to finger tight. Okay. I'm actually going to come in here real quick. I'm going to loosen this up so I can slide it out of the way. Who is that guy? All right. So this is kind of, if you guys have ever done like a scope ring mount, if I have one of these that's completely touching on one side and the other side's open, we're not going to get that good even squeeze on the bar. We can even actually dent it or whatever. So I want to kind of get a good even gap between all of these, right? So once I'm in here and it feels pretty good, I might do like a quarter turn, come on an angle, quarter turn, come on an angle, down, quarter turn, right? And then I can just even these out. And again, maybe you don't totally crank these down just yet. Maybe you get them so they're snug. Go ride the bike. Make sure you like how everything is sitting. And then if you're good, you can tighten it up a little bit more, right? Here's that computer screen. So again, I can slide this right now. Once I ride it a little bit, I can figure out where exactly I want that. But now we're sitting pretty good. And yeah, I have some options here now. All right, so that's pretty much the assembly. Last piece here is the battery. You have the ports down. The battery's dead, I need to charge it. But just so we can kind of see, for the sake of conversation, it's gonna come in from the bottom. Rock it back. All right, so the final piece is we're going to put this battery in, it rocks into place. You're going to need the key to allow you to lock it. So this is going to unlock so I can remove it. This locks it in place. Now someone can't steal your battery, which is kind of a nice feature. So that is our QuietKat APEX XD, and a few of the key features on this, like I was mentioning. The new ones are going to have your suspension in the seat. They're going to have the ability that all of your racking systems are going to be able to bolt right onto here, right? We have some accessories that can mount here for different computers and all sorts of other gizmos. You have racks here that we can put on, like I showed you the other one that came with it. We can put light mounts. There's all sorts of accessories that you can get with this. But one of the nice things here is, if you come around, this is one of the key features, is this big hub that has the internal gearing. What that allows us to do for this bike is they've been able to remove the derailleur, which if you've ever ridden a mountain bike, that's that piece here that hangs down that the chain goes through, and it guides the chain over the gears. Well, when you're using a derailleur, you have to use a bike chain. The fact that they figured out how to put this internally for the 5 speeds that they have, 5 gears, they're internal. And now what happens is they've allowed us to upgrade the chain to a motorcycle grade chain. And with that, the QuietKat bike has more torque than any other e-bike right now on the market, because they're the ones who don't have a derailleur. So we're gonna get more distance, more power, more performance out of this bike, and you can ride it as an e-bike, which I'll show you later in our testing videos, but you can also ride it as a super beefy mountain bike. This thing is a tank, right? Brakes work good. So really excited to get this battery charged up and to show you how this e-bike performs. But so there you have it, the APEX XD from QuietKat, fresh out of the box.
QuietKat is a very loud dog.